Hi, this is Betty Bowman. I'm starting Chapter 2 of the series of Through the Mist. This chapter will be read to you due to the character voices having technical difficulties. We start back with Chapter 2, Part 1. Sitting down at the table in the casino, Red and Sam are talking. Sid called today to tell me to go ahead and give you the information you needed on the person who might have killed Ava's family members, Sam said. I met Ava today by accident at the Rosalie. She thinks I look like someone she knows. I also talked to Sid earlier this morning, and I'm convinced, like him, that I need to start the investigation now. The investigation needs to start with checking out Mark McDonald. He is the bank president here in Natchez. He may have had the murders done. Do you know him? Sam asked. I've investigated him before. While he was in Europe, another family had problems with his shady business dealings. Red tells the story to Sam about Argyle. He did not let Sam know that this was his family. Red trusted in no one, even if it was a close friend of Sid's. Ava means too much to him now for him to lose her. Red begins to tell the story where we are back again at the party that had been at the Rosalie that night in 1852. It was just weeks before the murder of a wealthy businessman. Neil was now dancing with the young lady named Jean that had approached him earlier for one last dance when a man walked up to the courtyard. The man was wearing a blue velvet coat that was lined with red satin, and the vest was embroidered with white satin. The trousers were blue velvet and came only to the knee. His long stockings were made of silk, and his shoes were decorated with large silver buckles that covered half the foot. He wore lace ruffles around the neck and waist and wore colored gloves. He was Jean's escort, who came along with her and her father to the party. Neil saw Argyle walking up to greet him. Jean stopped dancing and ran up to Argyle to bring him over to be introduced to Neil. Neil walks over to meet them and calls Argyle by name. Argyle, Neil says sarcastically. It's good to see you, Argyle says. You know each other? Jean says, confused. Aye, we knew each other, Neil said. What have you been doing since we last saw each other, Neil? Traveling mostly, and you? Oh, I've been here a while. Might decide to settle down, Argyle says, as he looks on with desire for the young lady. Neil looks over at Jean and asks, How do you know him? He works for my father, Neil. He is a cotton broker. Jean excused herself from Neil and Argyle's company and joined her father, who was about to leave the party. Neil and Argyle walked out to the edge of the bluff to talk, alone. Why are you really here? Neil abruptly asked. As the lady told you, I'm working for her father as a broker here in town. Argyle nervously paces back and forth. We both know you do not need to work for anyone. Now what's the real reason you are here? Neil demands, pointing his finger in Argyle's face. I like it here. It's a nice, peaceful place to live. It's a new, untamed land, and no one here to bother me, he exclaims. You mean no one to know where you are. We both know that, Neil says as he steps back from Argyle. Jean comes back over to where Neil and Argyle are to tell Neil that she has to go. She asks, Will I see you again, Neil? Aye, I will be staying a few more weeks. I'll stop by your place before I leave. Jean kisses Neil on the cheek and returns to her father. Argyle tells her that he will be with them in a minute. I'll be seeing you again, Neil, before you leave. Argyle turns around with a smirk on his face. I don't know what you want with these people, but you know they are like family to me. Don't do anything to hurt any one of them. Neil has trouble holding his temper. I wouldn't do that, would I? Argyle has an evil look in his eyes. Then Argyle starts toward Jean. He gives Neil another evil look and turns back to Jean and her father. Come on, Argyle. Father is waiting. Another time, Argyle, Neil says. Yes, splendid. Another time, Argyle replies. I will start back with Chapter 2, Part 2. Hope you're enjoying this story. I want you to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.